Welcome to Daily Book Insight. You know, we spend almost our entire lives learning how to earn money, how to save it, how to invest it. But what if the single most important skill is the one we never, ever talk about, the art of actually spending it? Today, we're diving into the profound wisdom of author Morgan Housel to figure out how we can use money not just to get rich, but to build a truly wealthy life. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why spending is this forgotten art. Then we'll tackle the happiness delusion that so many of us fall for. After that, we'll learn how to break free from the status game, figure out what real wealth even is, and finally, we'll get a practical toolkit for spending well.
All right, let's kick things off with the central problem. Think about it. There are thousands, maybe millions, of books and podcasts on how to make money, but there's almost nothing on what to do with it once you have it. We've become absolute experts at accumulating, but complete amateurs when it comes to deploying it. And that's a huge deal, because spending is where money's true value is finally unlocked.
And this really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We get so obsessed with the numbers on a screen, our net worth, our savings rate, that we totally forget the whole point of the game. The goal isn't just to have more money. The goal is to live a better, happier life. And it's so easy to just assume that one automatically creates the other. But as we're about to see, that is a really dangerous assumption to make. Here's Housel's big idea. This is so difficult because there's no magic formula. There's no spreadsheet that can tell you how to spend for happiness. Your personal history, the way you grew up with money, your own unique anxieties and dreams, that stuff makes up a tiny, tiny fraction of all financial history, but it forms something like 80% of how you think the world works. That's why one person's dream vacation is another person's complete waste of money. Spending is an art. And you, my friend, are the artist. Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial point, what Housel calls the happiness delusion. We have to be brutally honest with ourselves and break this automatic link in our brains between more money and more happiness. It's a belief that's buried so deep in our culture, but the reality is way, way more complicated. To make this crystal clear, Housel gives us this brilliant thought experiment. Just look at these two lives. On one side, you've got a billionaire. Private jet, massive mansion, all the toys you could ever imagine. But he's on his 5th divorce, his kids won't talk to him, his health is a disaster, and he's totally miserable. On the other side, you've got someone earning a solid middle-class income, say $75,000 a year. But this person has a loving spouse, kids who absolutely adore them, they're in great health, and they sleep like a baby for 8 hours every single night. So, which life would you choose? It's not a trick question. And yeah, some people might still pick the billionaire life, but for most of us, the choice is glaringly obvious. It just perfectly highlights what money can do for you, and the much, much longer list of incredibly important things it can do at all. The best parts of a happy life are often completely off the balance sheet. This really gets to the true job of money. Having enough of it is fantastic at getting rid of the negatives. You don't have to lie awake at night stressing about a surprise bill from the mechanic. It gives you a safety net. And that's huge. It leads to fewer bad days. But that's not the same thing as happiness. Money doesn't guarantee more good days. It can't create love or a sense of purpose. Think of it like a painkiller. It removes pain, but it doesn't create joy. And confusing those two things is a one-way ticket to a pretty miserable life. So, if we know deep down that more money isn't the direct path to joy, why are we also obsessed with it? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is the status game. We get caught in this endless trap of social comparison, where we spend our money not for our own happiness, but to signal to other people how successful we are. Warren Buffett has this perfect way of thinking about it, the inner versus the outer scorecard. The outer scorecard is all about what other people think. It's living your life for external validation, the fancy car, the huge house, the impressive job title. It's a life where you're judged by what people can see. The inner scorecard, on the other hand, is guided by what you feel. It's about what truly matters to you, your values, your relationships, your own sense of peace, no matter what anyone else thinks. And here's the thing. That outer scorecard game is a game you can never, ever win because there's always someone with a bigger boat. I love this quote from Kevin Kelly. It's such a simple but powerful mental model. The outside of your house is for strangers, for people just driving by who probably aren't even paying attention. But the inside of your house, that's for your family, your closest friends, the people who actually matter. The question is, who are you spending for? Are you spending your money to impress the strangers or to enrich the lives of the people you love? Housel suggests you actually sit down and define your audience. For him, it's his wife, his kids, his parents, and a few really close friends. And here's the critical insight. That small group of people, the ones whose opinions should matter the most, could not care less about what kind of car you drive. They care that you're a good person, that you're there for them. They care about who you are, not what you have. And once you really truly get that, the pressure to play that status game just evaporates. This timeline just nails it, doesn't it? In your 20s, you're constantly worried about what everyone thinks of you. Then you hit your 40s and you get a bit of an edge. You're like, I don't care what anyone thinks. But the real wisdom, the real freedom comes in your 60s when you have this profound realization that nobody was ever really thinking about you to begin with. They were all too busy worrying about what you were thinking about them. It's the ultimate punchline of the status game. You're in a competition where most of the other players aren't even watching you. So this leads us to a totally new definition of wealth. If it's not about the fancy car and impressing other people, then what is it? Well, Housel argues that true wealth is something completely different, and most of the time, it's totally invisible. Check out these two stories. They're a perfect contrast. First, you have the Vanderbilts. Cornelius Vanderbilt built a fortune that in today's money would be something like $400 billion. But his kids and grandkids saw money as something to be spent as lavishly and publicly as possible. They were miserable because the money controlled them. And within just 3 generations, that massive fortune was completely gone. Now, contrast that with Chuck Feeney, the guy who started duty-free shops. He became a billionaire, he tried the whole yachts and mansions lifestyle, and he hated it. He realized he was happiest when he was giving his money away, so he did. The key difference? The Vanderbilts were controlled by their money. Feeney was in control of his. And this leads us to Housel's core definition of wealth. It has nothing to do with stuff. Wealth is autonomy. It's control over your time. It is the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That is the single greatest prize that money can buy. This means we've been looking at wealth completely backwards. We see someone driving a $100,000 car and we think, wow, they're wealthy. But what we're actually seeing is the absence of $100,000 from their bank account. True wealth is invisible. It's the money you didn't spend. It's the fancy car you didn't buy, the first-class upgrade you passed on. Every single dollar you save isn't just a dollar. It's a piece of your future freedom that you are actively buying for yourself today. Okay, we have completely dismantled the old way of thinking and we have a new goal. So now let's get practical. Let's roll up our sleeves. In this final section, we're going to look at the artist's toolkit, a set of frameworks Housel gives us to help build a richer, more meaningful life through the art of spending. Here are 3 really powerful frameworks. First, minimize future regret. When you're making a big decision, don't just ask, what do I want right now? Ask, what will my 80-year-old self wish I had done? Second, buy memories, not just things. A new phone gives you a little dopamine hit for a couple of months, but a memory from an incredible trip or a special day with your family, that can pay you happiness dividends for the rest of your life. Memories are the ultimate compounding asset. And third, use money as a tool, not as the end goal. A big house itself won't make you happy, but if you use that house to host your friends and family every weekend, it becomes a powerful tool for connection. The house is just the conduit. Now, this is a really powerful, if maybe a little morbid, exercise Housel suggests. It's called the reverse obituary. Just take a second and seriously think about it. If you had to write your own obituary today, what would you want it to say? I am willing to bet it would have nothing to do with your salary or the size of your house. It would be about being a good parent, a good partner, a good friend. This exercise is just a brilliant way to clarify what you really value, and it shows you the gap between how you're living today and the life you ultimately want to be remembered for. Ultimately, it comes down to the simple truth that we so often forget in our complicated lives. We get so wrapped up in finance and careers that we lose sight of the absolute bedrock of a happy life: strong relationships, good health, peace of mind. Money's job isn't to replace those things. It's to support them, to protect them. It's a tool you use to build a fence around the things that truly matter. So, in the end, learning how to spend money well is really just about learning how to live well. It's not about finding the perfect budgeting app or following some rigid set of rules. It's a deeply personal journey of figuring out what actually matters to you and then using this incredibly powerful tool we call money to build a life that is a true reflection of those values. So I want to leave you with this one question, this one challenge. Think about it right now. What is one small way you can use your money this week, not to impress anyone, not for status, but purely to build a memory or to strengthen a relationship? Maybe it's just taking a friend out for a coffee and really listening to them. Maybe it's buying some art supplies to do a project with your kids. It doesn't have to be big. How can you take one small step this week to practice this beautiful art of spending? If you found this insight valuable, please subscribe for more. And if you know someone who's also trying to figure out this big puzzle of money and happiness, do them a favor and share this with them. Help them upgrade their life too. Thanks for joining me.